We're back. I can't work Facebook Live video apparently. I'm technologically challenged. So I was having a hard time at rotating the video. But I'm gonna wait until someone comes online and tells me that it is in the right direction. Hopefully. Yes? No? Okay, I'm gonna start over. So today, what we're talking about is if you have an investment property, specifically if you're thinking about doing this in Houston, because this is where I have the most experience handling this, what is a better option to do? Should you rent it out traditionally, where you get a new tenant every year or 2 years maybe? Or a lot of people have been thinking about doing an Airbnb or similar type of home sharing service maybe. So we've had experience actually with 3 Airbnb properties for about a year now. So we're gonna talk about different things to consider. And today we're actually at one of the houses and the guests moved out literally 30 minutes ago, or should I say checked out. So we're gonna see what kind of condition they left the house in. Is my video on the right way? If you guys can let me know. I still can't figure out if it's the right way or not. We also have my handy assistant, Callie. Callie, I think she's working on redoing the landscaping because she really has a problem with whatever these plants are. So let's go ahead and go inside the house and see what kind of condition these people left it in. This should be pretty exciting. This is not my favorite part of the process because a lot of times you feel like people should have taken better care of the house and maybe they didn't. But overall, it's little things usually that are not that problematic. So let's flip the camera around. Kelly, you see any dead bodies maybe? Kelly's kind of afraid of this house. She doesn't like coming in here too much. Okay, so is there anything in the washer machine? Yep, looks like they started the laundry, so that's good. Oh, wow. They left quite a bit of stuff out. So there's their food that they didn't use. Okay, other than that, nothing is broken. Everything looks to be in one piece. There's no stains on any of the furniture. That's always good. Rugs are in good shape. So this is pretty common. Obviously, every single piece of furniture in the house is disshuffled and moved around from where it should be. But overall, nothing is damaged or missing. I don't know why anyone would want to take something from this specific house, but looks pretty good. Oh, one thing that people like to do is they like to leave the lights on all the time. Bathroom looks pretty normal. Again, we're looking for things that are broken or stained badly that would need to be replaced. So obviously people are not going to make the beds or do anything like that before they leave. So all in all, it's in pretty good shape. I don't see anything that I'm really having to replace so far. So that's always good. Here's another bedroom. They did tell me that this dresser that I got for $70 on the internet, that the drawer broke, so I have to fix that, but that's easy. And over here we got the master. That mirror didn't come from there. I don't remember where that was from. Pretty normal, really. No drama. We had to add this 2 months ago because this just had a big shower curtain, which I really despised. And I have this new glass shower enclosure that we put in. So all in all, I actually think the house looks really nice. So let's sit down and chat a little bit about what you need to know if you are thinking about doing a short-term rental. So we got the idea to do this about 1.5 years ago when we had one of our other homes that was up for a new tenant to come in. I'm gonna sit down and do an interview. So we got the idea about 1.5 years ago, when one of our regular rentals came up for renewal and the market had actually came down quite a bit. So we weren't able to lease it for nearly as much as we had brought in before. And just kind of thought the idea of, hey, let's just try to put it on Airbnb. We had some furniture, and it ended up satisfying quite a bit of supply, or demand, I should say, in the market. So an Airbnb is one of the channels that you can use to lease your house out in this manner, but it's not the only way. It's kind of like saying, I only have my house listed on Zillow. Well, Zillow is one of the many websites where you can list a property for sale, but it's obviously not the only one. So really what you would call this type of rental is a short-term rental, which is abbreviated to an STR, or a vacation rental, kind of depending on the destination where you are. So in our case, I have to keep an eye on the dog constantly. Callie, come here. In our case, obviously, these are not really vacation type homes, but short-term rentals is definitely a more accurate way to describe them. Now she wants to come say hi. So a lot of differences with this versus a traditional rental. Let's start with the first one. This is definitely a much more time-intensive activity. So if you are an out-of-town investor, if you have a very busy job where you don't have a lot of flexibility during the day, an Airbnb or short-term type rental may not be the best for you, because it does require a lot of things happen kind of on the fly that you need to take care of immediately. The best way to think about it is, imagine you book a Waldorf Astoria hotel or a Ritz-Carlton when you go travel somewhere, right? If you get into your room at the Ritz-Carlton and everything's going great, and then at night you go in to take a shower and there's no hot water, how fast is that situation going to get resolved at the Ritz-Carlton? Typically, very quickly. If anything, they'll reassign you to a different room. They may help move your baggage for you. So there's a lot more service associated with this type of business than a traditional rental. If you have someone that short-term rents your house for, say, 3 weeks, and you have some kind of repair that needs to happen, you need to make sure you get that repair done immediately, okay? You don't have the luxury of saying, I'll call someone tomorrow, or they're gonna be out next week, because you have a very short window of opportunity that your guests are gonna be in the house, right? So we had an issue last week where on a traditional rental, I probably could have gotten it fixed for about 70% less than what I paid about a week later, right? But I didn't have that luxury. I had to get someone out immediately that night at 9 o'clock at night, because otherwise I risk getting a bad review, right? Speaking of reviews, that's kind of one of the more attractive reasons why you may want to do a short-term rental, is because in this kind of business, you really get to keep your people that are in your house a lot more accountable about the way they treat the property, right? So if you're in real estate or if you're an investor, you know that most times you get a property back and it's not quite in the condition that you want it to be. So if you end up having to repaint or change carpet or do any kind of those repairs every time, every year that someone checks out, by the time you've paid commissions, depending on what you purchased that home for, you may not be actually making that much money per year. With the short-term rental, the big benefit is that people know that they get reviewed as guests, as well as I get reviewed as a homeowner, right? So I have every interest to make sure my property is in top condition, and my guests have every interest to make sure they leave everything in good shape for the most part, right? Because they want to get a good review. So the first thing I do when I get a booking request is I kind of check out their profile, regardless of what website we're on, to make sure that they have gotten good reviews. But it is definitely, it's really a mix between running a hotel, but not really, right? So if you think about what kind of product you want to offer, do you want to be a La Quinta Inn, or do you want to be a Hilton or a Ritz-Carlton? There's a lot of different levels of service to that point. Contractor just pulled up, so let's go take a look at what he's bringing and what we're doing to the house today, because you always have to handle a lot of repairs. Attack! Is the gate closed? No. Oh, let me go close the gate. You're on video.
Oh, yeah?
Live.
Oh,
Everyone meet Noe.
how's it going?
Noe is a very important part of the team. Callie, all right, come out.
What we got going on?
So what do we got going on? Let's backtrack a little bit. About a week ago, I got a call that a mouse was running through the house. So obviously not a cool thing, not something you want to hear. So I wasn't too happy about it. We got an exterminator out immediately at 9 o'clock at night. You can imagine how many exterminators come out at 9 o'clock at night. And when I got to talking to the guy, he said, look, it's really not a big issue. It was a time when the temperatures had dropped quite a bit. So apparently these little creatures are looking for somewhere warm to spend the night. And this property that we have here is 3 houses back from basically a creek and a large wooded area. So lots of them probably live there. What ended up being the reason is that the doors, so this property is pretty old, it's built in the 70s. The gaps underneath the doors are pretty massive. So apparently the mouse just came right through under the gaps. So today, Noe, after he's done playing with Callie, is changing out all entry doors to the house to keep mice out. Obviously, there's lots of benefits to getting your doors put on, but that's kind of the big project that we're having to tackle today, because with this kind of business, one of the things you want to do is preventatively take out as many issues as you can, right? Because you don't have the luxury of time of saying, I'll take care of it in a week or two. You want to put things into place that allow you to not have those issues happen, hopefully, right? On this specific case, we've got a pretty tight time crunch. Usually we have about a week in between bookings. And I like having that little bit of time because I can come in, do a walk through the property, and there's always upgrades and things that we're doing to the house, just to kind of keep updating it and keeping it in top shape. So this time, these people, like I said, checked out 30 minutes ago, and we've got the new guests checking in a day. So we've got a very short window of opportunity. It's a pretty large house, 4 bedrooms. So if you just think about the amount of linens that need to be cleaned when a cleaning crew shows up, all the kitchen stuff has to be cleaned, all the cabinets have to be cleaned out. It's a lot of work to do. So it's good that we're not having a whole lot of vacancy, but it also puts a little bit more pressure because we want to make sure it's cleaned properly and we're not just kind of going through it quickly and missing stuff, because you don't want people to come in and then obviously there's cleanliness issues in the house. So let's talk a little bit about what type of people are using these kinds of homes. So again, when you think about it, these are located in a pretty suburban neighborhood in Spring, so you wouldn't really think that there's a whole lot of need for people to come in and lease a house for 2 or 3 months. Wrong. So over the course of a year and a half, I'm going to try to remember all the different scenarios of tenants we've had. First family was an insurance claim because they had a plumbing leak in the house, which basically flooded the entire property when they were on vacation, right? So during the time that the insurance company is repairing their home, they also pay for them to live somewhere temporarily. You good? So that was family number 1. Family number 2 was a similar situation. We're gonna go outside because obviously I don't want the dog to run away. Hey. So family number 2 was similar in that their house had suffered a fire. Obviously that's gonna be a long process to rebuild. And then Harvey happened. So not only did they have big gaping holes in their house from the fire, but then the hurricane came through and obviously caused a lot of damage. So those guys were with us for a while. After that, we had a group of 3 girls that were doing an internship at Exxon, because we're very close to the Exxon campus here in Spring. After that, we had 2 sets of families that were needing a short-term house in between their home selling and their new home being built. So they only needed it for about a month and a half because they couldn't, they didn't want to sign a 6-month lease anywhere, which was kind of the minimum that you can get, and then move all the furniture twice and that kind of thing. After that, we had some grandparents that came and visited their grandson that had just gotten a job in Houston, so they spent the holidays with him. We've had contractors come in that are building AMC movie theaters. That were doing 7 AMC movie theaters around Houston, so they were just kind of moving around from Clear Lake, Sugar Land, Cypress, Spring, and then I think they had one in Kingwood, and then they're out of the way. And then the last few families that are coming in have been families that have a baby due, so they needed to rent a place where they could be for a couple of months while the baby came, and they're all from out of town. And Houston obviously has a very large medical business. A lot of people come in here for those kinds of needs. So we've had 3 families stay with us to deliver their babies here. This house actually had 3 babies that were not delivered at the house, obviously. But yeah, the people had a baby, and then his sister came in. She had twins, and then they flew their parents down from Atlanta. So their parents were with their son and daughter who had just had newborns, and basically the whole family was here for 3 months. So that was kind of exciting. And the group that's checking in are jockeys that are going to be over at the Sam Houston Race Park for the next 2 months for races. So they needed a place where 4 of them could stay. So lots of different scenarios. That doesn't even include all the inquiries I get for bookings when the house is not even available. But the point is, there's always a demand for this kind of housing, because typically if you need a short-term housing, you're end up having to go to an apartment or an extended stay hotel, which is a very different experience. A few big things to keep in mind, however, is that regulation is very important, and that this is not a business that you can run in any house in any neighborhood. You have to be aware of your HOA rules, any city rules, hotel taxes, that kind of thing. So a lot to keep in mind. Overall, we've been very happy with it. Looking to get into more properties like this kind of around the whole country, not just in Houston. But it's been a good business. Obviously the profit is much greater, but there's a little bit more risk too, because you're having to cover utilities and all the expenses, getting it furnished. So it takes a little bit more time to get it up and going. But I think it can be a really rewarding, very flexible type of investment. If you maybe have families that are going to come in for the holidays to visit you or something, instead of them having to rent a hotel, you can have a place for them to stay with you nearby. So I need to get to work. I need to help out Noe, see what else we have to do. What I'm realizing now is that when something is broken at the house, the guests never tell you. So I literally need to go test every single TV, light fixture, plumbing fixture, check every single thing in the house, make sure everything's working, do an inventory in the kitchen, and just see if there's any items that we need to replace. This is hilarious. Callie, go. She was jumping around like a kangaroo in the backyard. She really enjoys coming here. I think the neighbors have a dog. Oh, and then we're doing, we're gonna put the string lights over here back and forth over the patio, since it's gonna be nice weather, and want people to be able to enjoy the place outside too. So I'll post links below to our 3 properties that we have. So 2 of them are out here in Spring, and then 1 is out in East Downtown. And that way you guys can kind of get an idea for what we've got going on. But if you're interested in getting into this type of business, reach out. We're glad to help you. We've gone through a number of conferences, a lot of podcasts that I've listened to about this type of investment. And yeah, it's a really interesting and new growing industry. So catch you guys later, and hopefully everything inside is in good working order.